I mean, you've probably heard the phrase, do something that you love, something that you're passionate about, and you'll never work a day in your life again. What utter bull. Hello, welcome back. Or welcome if you're new here. I'm Kim. I run a business called Beech Tree Handmade, and this here is what I call the coffee and craft chat. And it gives me an excuse to rock up once a week, drink coffee, share with you the crafts that I'm working on, and chat about nonsense. And this week's nonsense is I have to write down my nonsense on bits of paper because otherwise I forget. Oh yeah, it's why I think making your hobby, your for you hobby, the thing that you love, your business is one of it's not a good idea. Don't do it. I'll tell you why in a minute, but first we're skipping ahead because I've shown you my coffee. Cheers. Now I want to share you. I say it wrong every week. I want to share with you my craft. I want to share my craft with you. I also want to go back on HRT because the brain fog is not fun. I am perimenopausal. I have been on HRT. I've had to take a little break. Nothing serious, but I'm going to go back on it in a couple of weeks and I can't wait. Anywho, look at this. If you were around last week, you'll have seen me share my progress, and it was literally just the collar, and now I have all of that. Unfortunately, when you're working on a bigger project, it's harder to make sense of. So I did take pictures for you. This is the picture of the front of what is going to be my cardigan, and this is the picture of the back of what is going to be my cardigan. And I mean, it looks like I've done an impressive amount, but I should point out that this is a beginner-friendly pattern that I'm working from, so it's very basic. And I'm also knitting on needles that are the size of small tree trunks, so it does knit up very fast. So far, I haven't made any huge mistakes. I have made mistakes, but not huge ones. So, that's the craft. And you're actually going to see me do some more craft later on in the video because that's my for me craft. That's the craft that I do not monetize. I will never monetize because it's what I do to relax. I say relax. Sometimes I knit something up that just makes me want to punch something right in the face. Right, okay, now for the chat. So, a week or so ago I got this comment, and it was from a lovely viewer who was basically asking me for my thoughts on running a business when you have a lot of different interests. And I said in my reply back to her that I had so many thoughts, and so I'm making a video about it because I have lots of thoughts and I'm going to make it your problem this week. Thank you, and you're welcome. Right, am I in focus? Because I've filmed videos before where I've not been in focus the entire time. Fun. Especially when you waffle on for nearly an hour. Anyway, God, the other perimenopausal symptom people don't often talk about is hair loss and hair thinning that means that you end up with these little strands that just cobweb over your face and piss you off. Back to the topic. And this is where I'm now going to shift over and I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I do for my business as I chat, because I want to demonstrate just how many different crafts and interests that I have. This is what I look like most times. I'm usually working while watching YouTube, which is why I absolutely love the longer videos, because the longer the better. I don't have to keep stopping what I'm doing to find another video, etc. So top tip if you're a handmade business and you make vlogs, make them longer for people like me. Okay, for my own experience with this, as most things do, it started with a mistake, which I wish I could say I only made the once. I didn't. I made it a couple of times before I learnt my lesson. I actually started my business as a seamstress and I was making dresses. It was called The Dress Tree, and yes, I made dresses. Now the advice at the time was to pick a niche and lean into it. But not only that, for SEO purposes, it was often advised that you somehow put keywords into your business name. Hence, The Dress Tree. Because I made primarily dresses inspired by nature, so it seemed perfect. And it was. Until I stopped wanting to make dresses. Eventually the dress tree became the eco tree because I pivoted to eco products. It was the same business, I just pivoted slightly to new products and then had to change the name using the same idea that you needed SEO in the title somehow. biggest mistake. But again, my business was still the same business. Embroidery has always been a part of my business. I didn't make that the niche so much as it being a medium that has just followed me through whatever product I've made in some way, shape or form. Now, after making the same mistake twice, I finally learnt my lesson and I rebranded again, this time as Beech Tree Handmade, because everything I have ever done and ever will want to do in this business is going to be around the niche of handmade to some degree. So this time I learnt my lesson and made my business broad enough to move with me. But as you can see, I've made it broad enough so that I can evolve, and if I want to change my products, I can without having to change my name again, or, you know, all of the things. And this means that my business is now free to evolve and change with me, my tastes, trends, buyer behaviour, what have you. Now I'm just telling you that story for a little bit of context because I hope it demonstrates really clearly why it can be such a bad move to niche down too much. I do think niching down per se is good advice, but I think rather than niching down to a thing, and definitely as far as our business names go, we need to keep it broad enough that we give ourselves room to grow, because we are going to grow. We're going to change, we're going to evolve. And if we want our business to grow and evolve and change with us, it has to have wriggle room to do that. So you can niche yourself too much. Okay, so that's the background. As I've said, I have a lot of crafts that I like to do, a lot of different interests. I like knitting, I like crochet, I like playing with clay, as you've just seen. I like embroidery, I like upcycling and restyling clothing. I like making bags. I like gardening, not specifically a craft, but it's definitely a hobby that I could monetize if I wanted to. So how did I make the decision over which of these interests to monetize and which ones to keep for myself? This might sound a bit counterintuitive, and I'm not giving it to you as advice. As I often say with my videos, just take what serves you and leave the rest. But this is how I approached it. I thought of all of the hobbies and pastimes that I enjoyed doing, and I thought about which ones that I reached for the most whenever I was stressed or I just wanted to relax, the ones that filled my cup the most. And they were knitting, crochet and gardening. And so they were off the table. Those are for me. I'm not touching them. You've got this crochet blanket that I've made in the background. I will never do this as part of my business because I know that if I did, I would lose interest in it. Now again, this is not reflective of everybody's experience, it's just how I know myself, I know how I would work and how I don't work. So it was too precious. I just thought if I monetize this, I will end up hating it. If you monetize something, it's going to turn it into a job. And there's no way of enjoying every single second of what is essentially work. There are going to be parts of it that you're going to really hate. There are parts of the job that I do, and I love my job, but there are parts of it that I really dislike, and most of them are admin and, you know, the boring things, bookkeeping, that kind of thing. But nevertheless, they're very important to keeping a business running, you know, from day to day. So with that knowledge, I knew I didn't want to destroy knitting, crochet and gardening. And I'm including gardening because it's something that I did start making YouTube videos about in the early days, and I ended up taking them off the channel because I realised that I was going to suck the joy out of that for myself as well, and I could not afford to do that for my mental health. I freaking love gardening. I'm not brilliant at it, but I love it, and it's one of the reasons why I moved to where I did, because I was desperate for some space outside that I could get outside, because when you spend so much time inside hunched over like a goblin stitching something, sometimes it feels really good to get out into the fresh air and move your body a bit. So that's how I chose which of my interests to not touch. How did I choose the ones that I would make a business from, as in embroidery? Well, embroidery, out of all of the crafts and interests that I have, it's the one that I reach for the least. I don't know what the block is. Maybe it's because there's a bit more prep, I don't know. Maybe it's because my eyesight has been getting gradually worse and I'm on it. I need to get some glasses, but yeah, don't come at me. My point is that I realised that as much as I loved doing it, I rarely pulled it out for myself. I always kept going to crochet or knitting, or if the weather was good enough, which it isn't at the moment, looks like it's about to pee down with rain, I would go out and garden. So embroidery got stuffed right down to the bottom of the list. That and playing with clay. I don't do that nearly regularly enough. So they're perfect to make a business out of, because then I get to do something I really enjoy but rarely get a chance to do. And that seems to fix the problem of sucking the joy out of it, because I would only ever do it as part of my business anyway, otherwise it wouldn't get done at all. And as I said earlier, after some time had passed, I stopped resenting the sight of my sewing machine, and that came back into the mix. And although I'm not sewing nearly as much as I was, I sew a lot for my business as well, because that's another interest that I have that I wouldn't reach for myself. So that's sewing, embroidery, and occasionally clay making. And I guess you could also include YouTube in that mix as well, because while I would still make videos as a hobby, I wouldn't, it's a lot of work. So I wouldn't reach for it when I needed to relax or when I was tired. So again, monetizing video content is kind of perfect, because these are all things that I would drop, and having them as my business gives me an excuse to play with them as well as monetize them. Basically, I think what I'm trying to say is that as makers and creators, it's so bloody important that we keep something or some things aside for ourselves. Some interests that give us the freedom and the permission slip we need to suck at them. Like, I'm not at all embarrassed or ashamed of the fact that I'm not good at crochet or knitting. In fact, I'm almost afraid of getting out of that scrappy, I don't know what I'm doing phase, because I love that. I love being able to make mistakes at something. I love being bad at something, because when I'm making something for the business, I don't have that luxury. Everything has to be, I don't want to say the word perfect, because if you're a regular here, you know how I feel about that word. But it's a different thing. The standards are so different. For example, I mean, I don't crochet, but if I was crocheting cows, I wear them in the winter because they're less bulky than scarves, and I hate the cold around my neck. But if I was making and selling those, they would have to be so good. I would have to be able to look at them with a real critical eye and go, yep, that's fine. But for me, I have one that I've had for years, and it's okay. If you turn it inside out, there's unwoven ends, which I know is going to divide a lot of you. But I just never bothered. Occasionally they stick through to the right side and I just poke them on back. Because it's for me, I don't care. But obviously if I was going to sell it, oh no. So I really think that it helps our creativity as well as our mental health and all of the other things. You need something that allows you to be imperfect and make mistakes and just be rubbish at something. And if you haven't got that, you're missing out, because as a creative person, I think as a human being, you need that. I think it's very dangerous to try and monetize all of our passions. I think you're better off monetizing something that you like and then keeping the thing that you're really passionate about for you. Share your work by all means if you want to share it with the community, but monetizing it, I think, can sometimes be a really, really bad thing. Not always. I'm just saying you need something. You need an outlet. You need something that's for you. So back to the viewer who initially wrote that comment. As the start of this video showed you, I make mistakes. Don't follow me, I'll walk into lampposts, that kind of thing. But you say that you do crochet and you want to know if you should branch out. Now, I don't know if you're talking about your business as a whole or your YouTube channel. YouTube is kind of difficult because if you build a channel in one niche, it's very, very difficult to sort of do a hard pivot. Trust me, I tried. This is why you'll see some YouTubers just create a brand new channel if they want to talk about something different, because they build an audience expecting one thing, and if you just start talking about something else, you can end up breaking the channel, nobody will watch, and it's kind of heartbreaking when you're putting a lot of work into it. YouTube themselves have given advice, which is same audience, same channel, new audience, new channel. So if you want to experiment and try new things, just think of it in that vein. Is it something that your current audience would also want to watch? In which case, play, just test it out. What's the worst that can happen? But if it's something completely different, say for example, you're going from crochet to cheese making. I don't know. A cooking channel, that's probably a better one. I would consider starting a new channel if you can. Again, as somebody who has tried that, it is double the work. So you do have to kind of think about what you've got in terms of time and energy. But if it's not too different, if it's crafting and your audience is coming to you for craft, you're not going to break your channel. You might even find the thing that helps you. Okay, I have been rambling for a little while. I hope that has made some sense. This video was going to be a lot more vloggier than it ended up being. And then it got too hard and nearly broke my brain. And I think this is the problem. I'm still at the point where I am spread too thinly with regards to time, and I want to do more than my time allows. So I had to be good. But I did get some B-roll in there. If any of you follow me over on Instagram, you'll have seen me last week having a bit of a meltdown about how to do vlogs. Oh, I think I really annoyed somebody by saying this, but I personally find talking head content a lot easier than vlogging. Vlogging is more creative, it's more fun, it's harder. That's my personal opinion and I'm sticking to it. All right, my darlings, I am going to love you and leave you. Oh, wait, no, I've just seen something on my notes. Oh, if I was organised, I would be unstoppable. I was supposed to tell everybody that I once had a class about finding your ideal customer, your ideal viewer, your ideal person, and it was on Thinkific, but I've moved it over to Patreon. That's all I was supposed to tell you. It's a one-off purchase, so you don't have to be a member in order to get it. And I know I should probably sell it a bit harder, but I'm not going to. If you want to check it out, I'll put a link to it in the description, and I'll do a better job when I'm back on the HRT. So until next week, folks, thank you for stopping by. I hope I kept you company. Come and say hello in the comments. In fact, let me know, because I'm a nosy little cow and I want to know, what is your craft that you keep for yourself, the one that you allow yourself to suck at, or not, but just the one that you keep for you. I would love to know. All right, and I will see you next week. I will stop now, and I will see you next week. Yes. End the video, Kim. Ta-ra.